This is the Wells Report, which will return in 2 minutes. You're listening to the Wells Report, which will return in 1 minute. The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. Good morning, I'm John David Wells. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. In other words, we de-propagandize the mainstream media. We make commentary, which is not news. Commentary is opinion, yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. That's what we do here on the Wells Report. If you like this broadcast, make sure you share it with your friends. Time now for today's front page, a digest of news while we were asleep and since yesterday's broadcast. We go back to the Israeli-Hamas conflict. This from Fox News. The Israeli Defense Forces said today it has dropped leaflets in the Gaza Strip making a direct appeal to Palestinians to provide Israel with information on captives held by Hamas. If you want a better future for you and your children, take action and provide us with solid and useful information as soon as possible regarding the hostages in your area, according to the leaflet. The Israelis are offering protection, even a monetary reward, to any Palestinian who comes forward with verifiable information leading to the rescue of Israeli hostages. The Israeli army assures you that it will put forth maximum effort to provide you and your home with security as well as a financial reward, said the leaflet, guaranteeing complete confidentiality. Fox News is reporting the House Foreign Affairs Committee will host a classified briefing on Iran today at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time after senior defense officials reported significant escalation of attacks against U.S. troops in the Middle East. These attacks have Iranian fingerprints all over them, according to a senior U.S. defense official and senior U.S. military official who spoke on a background briefing with reporters yesterday. Both officials suggest attacks will likely increase on U.S. troops in the coming days. The defense official reiterated that Iran is funding, equipping, guiding, and directing partners and proxies across the Middle East, including Lebanese Hezbollah militia groups in Iran, Syria, and Yemen. Quote, I think it's fair to say when you see this uptick in activity and attacks by many of these groups, there are Iranian fingerprints all over it. A senior Hamas leader is lying to the entire world, saying there are no hostages. This from Fox News. A senior Hamas leader denied that the more than 200 Israelis and foreigners currently held captive in Gaza are hostages, and then gave conditions for their release in a television interview. Khalid Mashal, formerly the chief of the terrorist group's Politburo, told Sky News in an interview that civilians being held by Hamas will only be freed if Israel stops its bombardment of Gaza, all the while denying the captives were hostages. They are not hostages, said Mashal, adding that the Israelis are being held in different locations in Gaza. He claimed Israeli airstrikes have killed more than 22 of the captives and said the bombardment must cease for the hostages to be released. Quote, "Let them stop this aggression. You will find the mediators like Qatar and Egypt and some Arab countries and others will find a way to have them released, and we'll send them to their homes," said Mashal. He claimed the hostage releases cannot happen while Israel continues to hit Gaza with airstrikes. An Israeli hostage released by Hamas described her ordeal after she was kidnapped by gunmen and taken into the tunnel system in Gaza during the Palestinian militant group's deadly assault on Israel October 7th. She said, quote, "I went through hell." Lashaved Lifshitz, a frail 85-year-old grandmother who was one of the two hostages released by Hamas yesterday, recounted the moments that militants snatched her from her home in the kibbutz of Nir Oz and drove her away on a motorbike toward Gaza. She called that a painful act, during which she said she was beaten and sustained bruises. Lifshitz said she was forced to descend into an underground tunnel system she likened to a spider web, where she was greeted by, quote, "people who told us we believe in the Quran," and promised not to harm her and her fellow hostages. Lifshitz said she was initially grouped together with 25 other people before her captors separated her into a smaller group with 4 individuals from her kibbutz. She then said that they slept on mattresses on the floors of the tunnels, ate the same food as Hamas fighters, and received regular treatment from doctors during her incarceration. The London Daily Mail is reporting that Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, has drawn the ire of the Israeli military by delaying the invasion of Gaza to eliminate Hamas, with Western allies in the EU pushing for a ceasefire. Israeli Prime Minister clashed with leading figures in the country's defense forces over his decision to delay the incursion, which military chiefs said are very eager to start, according to the London Telegraph. Some members stayed within the European Union that have pushed for a ceasefire in the war between Israel and the terror group Hamas in order to deliver more humanitarian aid to Palestinian civilians in the besieged Gaza Strip. Israeli military said on Monday, yesterday, they were preparing for unrelenting attacks to dismantle Hamas. The French Prime Minister is calling for an international coalition against Hamas. This from Reuters. French President Emmanuel Macron proposed today, that an international coalition fighting against Islamic State in Iraq and Syria be widened to include the fight against the Palestinian militant group Hamas in Gaza. Macron gave no details on how the U.S.-led coalition of dozens of countries, of which Israel is not a part, could be involved. Speaking alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, Macron stressed that France and Israel shared terrorism as their common enemy. Quote, "France is ready for the international coalition against the Daesh, in which we are taking part for operations in Iraq and Syria to also fight against Hamas," he told reporters, referring to the Islamic State. Macron, who warned against the risks of a regional conflict, also said the fight against Hamas must be without mercy, but not without rules. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did not directly comment on the Macron proposal, but said the fight was a battle between the axis of evil and the free world. The British Prime Minister is criticizing Metropolitan Police in London for not arresting chanting Palestinians. This from the Express UK. Rishi Sunak told police to tackle pro-Palestinian extremism head-on after fury over the failure to arrest protesters chanting jihad. In a damning response to Scotland Yard's handling of demonstrations, the Prime Minister dismissed claims that officers need new powers to deal with hate crimes on Britain's streets and told them to get on with the job using laws already in place. He warned that calls for Muslim armies to rise up are a threat to the Jewish community and, quote, "our democratic values," unquote. Updating ministers of parliament on the latest developments following the October 7th atrocity, the PM officers must show the full force of the law against extremist demonstrators. United States politics Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Republican from Georgia, is introducing a resolution today to censure Representative Rashida Tlaib, the Democrat from Michigan, accusing the Progressive Squad member of anti-Semitic activity and sympathizing with terrorist organizations. This from Fox News. The Democrat Party has done nothing to hold her accountable. They've done nothing to rein her in, and no one else here has done it. And so I thought it was the right to list examples of. This isn't just new. This isn't a one-off thing. This is exactly who she is, said Representative Greene to Fox News. Greene accused Tlaib of leading a pro-Palestinian protest on Capitol Hill last week. Hundreds of demonstrators called for a ceasefire after the terror group Hamas staged an unprecedented bloody incursion from the Palestinian enclave of the Gaza Strip into southern Israel October 7th, killing hundreds of civilians and prompting an ongoing response from the Israeli military. American Jews feel let down by the American left. This from the Los Angeles Times. Like many American Jews, Jonah Goldman sides politically with the left, including its push for the right of Palestinians. But in the aftermath of the Hamas gruesome raid on Israel this month, Goldman has never felt so isolated from people he long considered his allies. He was shocked by how quickly friends mobilized for the Palestinian cause while failing to condemn the attack. The militants killed more than 1,400 people, most of them civilians, slaughtering families, including children, and taking 200 more hostage. Good people he never considered anti-Semitic suddenly seemed supportive of Jewish genocide. The left in America has really let us down, said Goldman. He's 31 years old. He lives in Washington. He, with the Washington area, considers himself a Democrat and a socialist. Speaking of Democrat socialists, this from Fox News. The Democrat Socialists of America, founding member Maurice Eiserman, announced Monday that he is leaving the organization for its response to the Hamas terror attacks on Israeli civilians. Eiserman, who is still described on the socialist website as a founding member of DSA, penned a piece for The Nation, headlined, quote, "Why I Just Quit DSA," unquote. I left to protest the DSA leadership's politically and morally bankrupt response to the horrific Hamas October 7th anti-Jewish pogrom that took the lives of 1,400 people, mostly civilians, and saw over 200 hostages carried off to Gaza. Both groups of victims included children and infants, he wrote. Quote, in his statement on October 7th, made no mention, let alone offering any criticism of Hamas, declaring instead, today's events are a direct result of Israel's apartheid regime, a regime that receives billions in funding from the United States. In domestic anti-crime activities, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser announced a new anti-crime initiative yesterday as violence across the district begins to and continues to climb. Bowser, Acting Police Chief Pamela Smith, and other city officials unveiled the Addressing Crime Trends Now Act, or ACT. Bowser said the legislation will address recent crime trends and give law enforcement more tools to hold criminals accountable while working to keep neighborhoods safe. In Bowser's new Act Now plan, the act of being masked while committing a crime would be illegal again. Bowser is bringing back that law after it was terminated at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. The plan would also create criminal penalties, making it illegal to organize or direct anyone in a theft-for-profit scheme, including many of the smash-and-grab rings seen recently. Other measures included allowing the police chief to declare temporary drug-free zones to address open-air drug marketing and loitering. And finally, this morning in the front page, this from CNN. An off-duty Alaskan Airlines pilot tried to bring down a flight. An off-duty pilot who was riding in the cockpit of an Alaska Airlines flight en route from Washington State to San Francisco is facing dozens of attempted murder charges after he tried to shut down the plane's engine mid-flight, according to authorities. The suspect, identified as Alaska Airlines pilot Joseph D. Emerson, he's 44 years of age, attempted to cut off the fuel to the engines, but quick action of the aircraft's captain and first officer kept the engines from failing completely, according to the airline. Adding Emerson was subdued by the flight crew. The flight was forced to divert to Portland, Oregon, where the suspect was taken into custody by Port of Portland police, according to the agency. Emerson is being held without bail in the Multnomah County Jail, has been charged in Oregon with 83 counts of felony attempted murder, 83 counts of reckless endangerment, and 1 count of endangering an aircraft, according to the booking records. He is expected in court later this afternoon. And that is today's front page. Again, lots to discuss today on the Wells Report. Thanks very much for being a part of our broadcast. Our telephone number is 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Our chat room is roaring this morning. I want to say good morning to Ginny Bayless. She was the first to pop up and wins the chat room derby on the Wells Report for this 24th day of October, year of our Lord 2023. There are a lot of things to discuss, including, is Vladimir Putin still alive? We'll be talking about that coming up in just a couple of moments as we continue. Also, more on the Israeli-Hamas conflict and other actors perhaps becoming a part of that. Also, we'll discuss more of these American Jews feeling let down by the American left. Has this unprecedented attack by Hamas on Israeli civilians driven a wedge between these pro-Palestinian American politicians and people who have supported them for so long? It is the Wells Report. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Good morning. This is the Wells Report. Tuesday in progress. Is Vladimir Putin dead? That is a question. We've been following this story for a couple of days, waiting for more information, which is very difficult to obtain from official sources in Russia. Newsweek is having similar difficulties, but they have published this. Several news outlets reported a rumor this week that Russian President Vladimir Putin had suffered a cardiac arrest, collapsing in the presidential bedroom. The reports added the 71-year-old Russian leader had to be resuscitated and taken to a special intensive care unit after security heard him falling to the floor. Putin's health has been a subject of rumors for years, with Kremlin secrecy letting speculation run abound. Interviews and recorded meetings with other world leaders have often been scrutinized for clues hinting about whether or not Vladimir Putin could be sick or terminally ill. This latest report attracted the attention of journalists around the world. Indian magazine Business Today's headline read, quote, Russian President Vladimir Putin suffers cardiac arrest, collapses in bedroom. Report, unquote. Another quote was, Vladimir Putin resuscitated after having cardiac arrest, claimed Telegram, the Telegram channel, wrote the British tabloid Daily Mirror. The New Statesman, a UK news magazine, published an article from June 2022 titled, Is Vladimir Putin Dead? However, the report was sourced from a social media channel that has been linked to a series of unevidenced and occasionally highly implausible rumors about Putin. General SVR, a Telegram channel, has shared multiple stories about Putin's health and his grip on power, including a story about this apparent cardiac arrest. A post on October 23rd, yesterday, stated the officers found the president convulsively arched while lying on the floor, rolling his eyes, and was moved to a specially equipped room in his residence where the necessary medical equipment for resuscitation had already been installed. General SVR went on to say that while the president's condition has been stabilized and is under constant medical supervision, the incident seriously alarmed the president's inner circle, despite the fact the attending doctors had already warned Putin that Putin was very ill and it was unlikely to live until the end of autumn. The channel has repeatedly said that Putin has been using body doubles to carry out official duties, with discussions of a successor in process. Other unevidenced claims that General SVR has shared included how Putin fell down a flight of stairs, how he faced an assassination attempt in Moscow. He was due to undergo emergency colon surgery in December of 2022. However, this story, much like General SVR's other stories, was presented without sources or other evidence that would enhance its credibility. The likelihood that the Kremlin would offer detailed information about Putin's ongoing health seems slim, given its secrecy, its attitude toward critics of the president, and its effects revealing such information would have on international diplomacy. While an unexpected cardiac arrest is not implausible, the Russian leader did appear in public and on camera last week, seemingly in fine health, chairing a Security Council meeting in Moscow on Friday and attending a boxing tournament in the Ural city of Perm on Thursday. Putin, in theory, could be sick. Other more reliable sources have kept this speculation alive. 3 intelligence leaders told Newsweek in July of 2022. A classified U.S. report said that Putin had undergone treatment in April of 2022 for advanced cancer. The same year, the Moscow Times cited an investigative report by independent Russian media outlet Prekt Media that said that Putin was accompanied by doctors, including a thyroid cancer surgeon, on trips to his residence in Sochi. From 2016 to 2019, the doctors may have performed surgery on him. In November of 2016, Russian state media has since quoted presidential spokesman Dmitry Peskov, who has denied the cardiac arrest claim, saying everything is fine with him. This is another canard. Absolutely. That is the latest we know. And we will find out more as soon as the Russian government sees fit to let us know more. In the meantime, this is the Wells Report. Coming up, the very, very latest on the Israeli-Hamas conflict, including hostages released. We'll hear from them coming up in just a little bit. Also, there's a little bit of trouble between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel and his military command. We'll be discussing that as well. Plus, an amazing story of a female IDF commander who has engaged Hamas and won. It's the Wells Report, continuing in just a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Hostages have been released by Hamas. The International Committee of the Red Cross said yesterday, quote, "We facilitated the release of 2 more hostages, transporting them out of Gaza this evening, according to the ICRC. Our role as a neutral intermediary makes this work possible. We're ready to facilitate any future release." The news came as the U.S. is urging Israel to delay its ground invasion of Gaza to encourage continued negotiations that could free dozens of dual citizenship captives, according to American and Israeli officials. The newly freed hostages were both Israeli women. They went out through the Rafah crossings into Egypt, where the television footage showed them getting ushered into ambulances. Nurit Cooper, 79 years of age, and Yocheved Lifshitz, who's 85, were abducted along with their husbands from the Nir Oz kibbutz. The husbands were not released with their wives. This is a report from Fox News. Check this out.
The horrific story. She's saying that many people, a swarm of people came through the fence. My mom is saying that she was taken on the back of a motorbike with her body, with her legs on one side and her heart on another side. That she was taken through the plowed fields with a man in front on one side and a man behind her.
All right. Meanwhile, this as the world anxiously awaits the release of more than 220 hostages who are still being held captive by Hamas terrorists.
The IDF now announcing they hit more than 400 terror targets overnight, including Hamas tunnels and dozens of command centers.
Trey Yinks is on the ground in southern Israel. Trey, we just got the word about the release of the hostages in that press statement we heard earlier yesterday. And she describes the spider web tunnels. What can you tell us about those tunnels?
Yeah, guys, good morning. Absolutely. We're learning more from one of the first hostages to speak out about her experience inside the Gaza Strip after being taken on October 7th by Hamas militants. We know that's Yocheved Lifshitz, an 85-year-old who bravely talked about the terror that was inflicted on her and her husband, who is still being held inside Gaza. She was released overnight with another elderly woman from the community of Nir Oz and describes the tunnel system. But before that, she talks about how she was taken into Gaza on the back of a motorcycle, how people who were inside the strip, civilians, beat her. And then she was taken into the tunnel system and fed just 1 time a day. She said Hamas did provide them with some medicine and hygiene supplies, but she talks about what was clearly a terrifying experience for her and the other hostages as they were broken into groups and taken throughout the tunnels, held there beneath Gaza for more than 2 weeks.
And not to miss this, their husbands were taken with them. However, they were not released along with their wives. The newly freed hostages, both Israeli women, went through the Rafah crossing into Egypt, where they were picked up by Israeli and American operatives. In a call Monday evening with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Joe Biden welcomed the release of the 2 women. He emphasized the need for a continuous flow of humanitarian aid into the region and reaffirmed his commitment to release all hostages in the conflict, according to a statement by the White House. On Friday, Hamas freed 2 hostages for the first time since capturing more than 220 on the October 7th rampage into Israeli territory. There were an American mother and daughter, Judith and Natalie Renan. A U.S. official familiar with the Biden administration position told the Associated Press it was unclear how persuasive the U.S. government's for the delay are with Israeli leaders. But a senior Israeli military official told the New York Times that based on talks involving the U.S. and Qatar, Hamas might release about 50 dual nationals soon. The New York Times, CNN, citing Biden administration sources, said they did not name, said the delay in the ground incursion would also allow for improving the flow of humanitarian aid to Palestinians in Gaza and give the U.S. time to prepare for attacks on personnel and their interests in the region. Now, for that part, Benjamin Netanyahu is essentially caught between American wishes and hopes and his own military. This has not been good. The London Daily Mail expresses it this way: Netanyahu has drawn the ire of the Israeli military chiefs by delaying the invasion of Gaza to eliminate Hamas, with Western allies in the European Union pushing for a ceasefire. Israel's prime minister clashed with leading figures in the country's defense forces over his decision to delay the incursion, which his military chiefs are said to be eager to start, according to the London Telegraph. Meanwhile, some member states within the European Union have pushed for a ceasefire in the war between Israel and the terror group Hamas in order to deliver more humanitarian aid to Palestinian civilians in the besieged Gaza Strip. Josep Borrell, the EU, the European Union's foreign policy chief, said he backed a call by UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres for a humanitarian pause and added it would give leaders more time to negotiate the release of more than 200 hostages held captive by Hamas. This, by the way, sorry about the double video there. This, by the way, is a circumstance that plays directly into Hamas's hands. It works perfectly with their strategy and is therefore disruptive to what needs to happen, which is the complete collapse and destruction of Hamas. The Israeli defense ministers, the Israeli defense generals, and so on, they know all this. Benjamin Netanyahu is caught in a very difficult position. His prime ally in this, the United States of America, and indeed the European Union, are pressuring him to fall into Hamas's hands. And the simple case of this is that any delay on that invasion creates another opportunity for Hamas to move forward with this plan, to be able to, shall we say, mute or perhaps blunt the required accountability for killing 1,400 Israeli civilians. Now, I differentiate between Israeli civilians and Palestinian civilians insofar as Israel is a nation state. There are people living in Israel that are not members of the IDF, that are not, say, for example, pro-Israeli, shall we say, militants of any kind. They're just common citizens. On the other hand, in the Gaza Strip, Palestinians who live there are bound by an ideology. It is not a nation state. It is an idea. And the people that hold this idea are participants in the actual conflict. In other words, they are warfighters. And so that differentiation is critical, and it's being completely ignored by the mainstream media. And it should not be. The people living in Palestine, people living in the West Bank, or living in the Gaza Strip, they have decided that they want to live this way outside the international norm, and this is the price you pay. However, the regular civilized parts of the world, the European Union, even the United States through the Biden administration, are forcing Benjamin Netanyahu to stop doing what he must do, which is to attack and destroy Hamas immediately. Every day that goes by gives Hamas another opportunity, gives Hamas personnel another opportunity to escape. And that cannot be the fact here. It simply cannot be done. If indeed it is done, what's going to happen is we're going to find ourselves in a position where, once again, this horrific conflict continues and continues and continues. Tucker Carlson was speaking with a general, and let's tap into that courtesy of X.
Some of our special ops forces and Israeli special ops forces went into Gaza to reconnoiter, to plan for where they might want to go to free hostages and make an impact. And they were shot to pieces and took heavy losses, as I understand it. I think that's where we're headed. And I don't see that as a win for Israel in any way, shape, or form, and I certainly think it's very dangerous for us. You know, as I've tried to point out to a number of people, until Britain entered World War I, it was just another European war. Once Britain entered it, it became a global war. Well, once we are a co-belligerent, we enter this thing, it's going to be very difficult for Russia and Turkey not to also come into this fight against us, because they will not tolerate the sort of collective punishment that Israel plans for Gaza.
The U.S. military does have an awful lot of generals, however, as you pointed out, multiples of the number we had, the absolute number we had during World War II. And they're paid to think about this stuff. Why has it dawned on no one, apparently, who's spoken publicly anyway, that this could really harm our country gravely? Why is no one saying that?
Well, I'm sure there are people in the U.S. military who are aware, but let's be frank. Most of the people at the top of the military have never operated under artillery fire or rocket fire. They haven't seen direct fire combat. They haven't seen real war per se. Remember, we've had the luxury of sitting around forward operating bases and striking opponents that were armed with AK-47s and command detonated mines, an occasional mortar or rocket. Very, very low intensity combat. This is a high-end conventional war that we're looking at with the potential to go nuclear, which obviously I don't think we or the Russians want to happen, but we have the wild card in Israel. They do have a nuclear capability. We don't know what the tripwire is for them to employ such a weapon. At that point, of course, all bets are off, and I think most of the world would turn against Israel. Right now, they just have to worry about the Muslim world against them. It would certainly widen if they went that far. There are too many unknowns and uncertainties here. And, you know, everyone always assumes at the beginning of such a conflict, well, it'll be contained. We'll only have to fight these people, Hamas, maybe Hezbollah. It never works out that way. These things always last longer than everyone thinks. The resources required are much more profound than what we anticipated. And remember, we've already used up many of our war stocks in Ukraine, and we've left Ukraine in a state of ruins, places on life support, 500,000 dead. What are we going to do to Israel if we press ahead down this road? And it seems, listening to Secretary of State Blinken this morning, who more and more sounds like our commander-in-chief, that there is no room for negotiation, no room for mediation. Hamas must be destroyed. We must go into Gaza. If so, I think we're on this very dangerous road to Armageddon.
That may be true, General, but on the other hand, what else do you do? Somebody is already, that's, by the way, Colonel, it's not a general, it's Colonel Douglas Macgregor, okay? And I got to be perfectly honest with you. Once again, it's very fine analysis to point out, okay, what the issues are, and point out what you see American command doing and Israeli command and so on and so on. But without solutions, all of this is just drivel. It's just simply drivel. Here's what has to happen. And I can hardly believe that I'm actually saying this. Antony Blinken is completely correct. What needs to happen is immediate, and it must be undertaken quickly. We can't wait another day. Not only should the IDF move into Gaza, but also the United States Marines assault force that's currently in the Med waiting for orders should enter from the other side. Now, should this be with all guns blazing? No. No, it shouldn't. There should be prudent use of force from a standpoint of armor, et cetera, et cetera. We're talking about tanks here. What you need to do is you need to move in slowly. Engage only the people who engage you first. That's why you want to bring some sort of armor with you. But what you need to do is you need to make sure that what you do is you just move in quietly as possible, as slowly as is prudent. And you engage those who engage you. And what you do is you essentially, very slowly, instead of walking in with 4 stacks and guns blazing and so on and so forth, knock on doors. Hello? Certainly take adequate precautions to make sure that you're safe. But you don't necessarily have to go in there as if everyone is trying to kill you. because there are an awful lot of people that are huddled in their apartments right this very moment that do not feel that way. However, that being said, the Marines could do the same thing. Make it abundantly clear. We're here for the American hostages. That's it. We are here for American hostages. Obviously, the Marines would take out anybody who was a hostage regardless of their nationality. And that's all you do. And once again, they engage only when engaged. Now, I am not a military expert, but I read. I can think. A lot of times, yeah, okay, you get the artillery out, you bombard the place, airstrikes, blah, 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 just exactly what the IDF are doing, although they know exactly what those targets they're hitting are. And you go in there and you blow up everything. But when it comes to an on-foot, when it comes to an actual involvement of troops on the ground in the Gaza Strip, move slowly. Move carefully. Give your enemy a moment to think. Just give them a moment and see what they do. If they fire on you, done. Gone. But if they don't, capture them. Keep them for the war crimes trials that will doubtless come up, and continue your trek through the Gaza Strip to get all those hostages and to link up with the Marines coming from the other side. That's my solution. If you've got a better one, share it. Telephone number 817-379-2172. Back with more in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. Nobody has, at least in this country, has ever heard of the Caracal Battalion. No one has had a chance to witness what they've been up to during their battle with Hamas terrorists. But the Jerusalem Post has been paying attention, and they bring us the story of Lieutenant Colonel Or Ben Yehuda. Her first name is Or Ben Yehuda, and that's right, I said her first name. She is the commander of the unit. It is a battalion-sized unit. She's recounting her experiences in the southern Gaza Strip, where her battalion eliminated approximately 100 terrorists. She also has a clear message for those who question the capability of female fighters in the Caracal, which is Desert Lynx and Tank Battalion. As the assault on the Gaza border area began, Ben Yehuda swiftly moved from the battalion headquarters in the Nahal Raviv to a post on the Egyptian border with armored personnel carriers. Rockets raining down, warnings arrived regarding potential terrorist infiltration into the Shlomit and Bnei Netzer towns. What ended up happening after that was, in the midst of the chaos, she received a message from Lieutenant Colonel Yonatan Tazur, the commander of the Nahal Brigade's patrol battalion, who was later tragically killed in an encounter with the terrorists. He reported an infiltration near Sufa and Nirim, saying, "There are several terrorists there. They're heavily armed." Ben Yehuda summoned her troops from the mixed-gender infantry combat Caracal battalion and made her intentions clear. "We are going out to eliminate terrorists. Infiltration into Israel is happening. It's spreading. Stay alert. We might cross paths. We are a strong squad." By the way, what she was doing there was providing her soldiers, her fellow officers, and NCOs with commander's intent. Commander's intent. It's a way of getting everybody on the same page. Very simple, very straight to the point. We are going out to eliminate terrorists. Infiltration into Israel is happening, and it's spreading. Stay alert. We might cross paths. We are a strong squad. Brilliant. That's exactly how commanders command. Great leadership there. During the fast-paced journey, Ben Yehuda began to understand the scale of the terror incidents in the region. Arriving at Sufa, she received a report from a sergeant of the guards at the entrance to the military base indicating terrorists were inside. At least 3 were wounded. Information revealed the military post contained 40 combat soldiers from the Nahal Patrol, mortar soldiers from the 50th Battalion, other soldiers, military drivers operating in high-risk areas, numerous terrorists. It was apparent that most of the combatants were in the dining room armed with anti-tank missiles. It became clear this was not a typical terrorist infiltration. Approaching the base from all angles, they identified at least 7 terrorists, more from a nearby dirt embankment they were starting to climb up. Suddenly, a convoy with almost 50 terrorists and snipers charged toward the squad of 12 at breakneck speed. They responded with gunfire. Terrorists eliminated. Others dispersed. In a harrowing moment, a terrorist advanced on Ben Yehuda at point-blank range. Her quick reaction saved her from harm. Lieutenant Colonel A from the Magic Touch Squadron, the 190th, arrived and identified the terrorists inside the base. He suggested taking action, but Ben Yehuda insisted on avoiding harm to the soldiers inside. Instead, bursts of fire were directed at the surrounding earthen embankments, killing terrorists and preventing further attacks on the squad. For nearly 4 hours, terrorists attempted to outflank Ben Yehuda and her team, engaging them in firefights. More vans arrived, but the Caracal Battalion commander effectively thwarted them. Additional light anti-armor weapons, those are Law missiles, were launched, further eliminating terrorists. Some killed, others retreated. Despite wounds to some of her soldiers, they persevered after hours of intense combat. Soldiers from the Shayet Flotilla, 13 Navy Special Forces unit arrived to clear the base of terrorists. Drones were launched to assist them. The firefights continued. Wounded soldiers were evacuated. They remained at the base for a total of some four hours. Hold on just a moment here. That jumped all over the place. Hold on. Let me go back. Yeah, here we go. Not 4 hours, but 14 hours until it was fully secured. Ben Yehuda emphasized the significant contribution of female soldiers under her command, who saved many lives through medical care and even helicopter landings under fire. That's air assault. Their remarkable performance under extreme pressures of war highlighted their capability. She also acknowledged the tank soldiers under her command, who played a vital role in defending towns and decisively impacting the battle in Holit, a kibbutz near the southwesternmost border of the Gaza Strip, where at least 11 of its members were killed, along with 2 migrant workers. In total, her battalion eliminated around 100 terrorists. She hopes this serves as proof there should be no more doubts about female combat soldiers. Their training and performance on the battlefield have erased any doubts. They fought bravely. They saved lives. They emerged as heroes. Ben Yehuda. Ben Yehuda also highlighted the dedication of her commanders, who rushed from home to join the fight. She concluded, "There are no more doubts about female combat soldiers who have triumphed in every encounter with terrorists. At present, we are responsible for 11 towns and are preparing for any potential ground maneuvers to ensure the safety of southern Gaza border area and the Egyptian border." A great commander. A great commander. And she is doing an amazing job. It's amazing what happens when you realize that in the battlefield of today, mostly the things that have to happen are mostly from here up as opposed from here down. And I'm talking about you use your head. And this colonel deserves contemplation today. She's doing one hell of a great job with one hell of a great unit. Coming up in just a couple of moments on the Wells Report, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about how American Jews are feeling let down by the American political left for years, if not decades. The many of the Jews in America have supported leftist causes in the United States. Many of us don't know why, but it's their choice. But now they're realizing that they may have made a mistake. We'll be talking more about that coming up in just a couple of moments. Also, by the way, there's an update on that horrific stabbing of a Detroit Jewish leader. We'll have that for you in a moment. This is the Wells Report.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning, I'm John David Wells. This is the 24th day of October, year of our Lord 2023. We bring you the news, honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media's news product. We do make commentary. That is not news. No, commentary is just opinion, both yours and mine. And so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. How do you take part in that debate? Well, you can call us at 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. And all you need to do is let us know what you're thinking either on the phone or via the chat room. Our chat room is on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, Rumble, and Patreon. And you can also send us an email, thewellsreport@frontier.com. And so let's see. So we're looking at the chat room right this very moment. Gary brings up something regarding the U.S. military and how this Colonel McGregor, who was talking about the shortcomings of command in the United States military these days. Specifically, these men had never been under actual fire, under actual war conditions. And that's always the case after a prolonged peace. And it has been a while since we have had direct military encounters. The last had to do with the Afghanistan situation. And yeah, there are people that don't have an awful lot of experience in a real, honest-to-goodness shooting war. That being said, he offered no solutions. And that was something that Gary said. So General or Colonel, what is your solution? Well, that's where the critique falls short. What you have to do is you have to have a plan. You can't just sit there and say, well, that sucks and that's terrible and this is wrong and blah, 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 blah without having a plan. No plan? Useless. Absolutely useless. Let's see. Gary was talking about the commander that we just discussed, the female IDF commander. And he said, Gary said, I'd fight for her any day. Indeed, I would too. That's the kind of leadership that is required for success on the battlefield. That is it. That is all. It really doesn't make any difference whether you're male or female. If you've got the right idea at the right moment and you can direct your troops and they pay attention to you, you win. And it doesn't make any difference what plumbing you possess while you're winning. Let's see what else. There's somebody that's, this is funny. Downhill BA, sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel. Viewers, followers, chatbots. The price is lower than any competitor. The quality is guaranteed to be the best. No, there you go. Thank you very much. And said this, I'm seriously concerned about the Israeli battles. However, what is not happening here concerns me more. There were 45 days to bring in a good budget. Half of that's been used up with his foolishness because of the Gates 8 and et cetera. Now our government is at the mercy of an inept regime of idiots. Yeah, and we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on this hour, so make sure you stick around with us. So, like a lot of American Jews, Jonah Goldman consistently sides politically with the American left. During college, he was active in a group called J Street, the liberal Jewish advocacy group that opposed the Israeli occupation of Palestinian territories and lobbied for a two-state solution. Well, what Jonah forgot is that the Palestinians don't want a two-state solution. They just want to kill Jews. That was proven October 7th. So all these brave ideas sitting in the comforts of the United States of America, Jonah, probably didn't necessarily hip you to the reality of the people you were supporting. In the aftermath of Hamas's gruesome raid on Israel this month, Goldman said he was never more isolated from the people he long considered his allies. All of his leftist buddies suddenly started talking about how Israel was a terrible state and how they deserved what had happened to them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and on and on and on. Good people he never considered anti-Semitic suddenly seemed supportive of Jewish genocide. And all I can say on this, with as much benevolence in my heart as I can muster, is, duh. I don't know what people think. I don't understand any of this. We've got some information on this that I'm going to be sharing with you, but I don't understand Jonah Goldberg and people like him. It's like, speaking of being detached from reality, detached from the battlefield, Jonah, you have no idea who you're dealing with here. And I guess if you're too close to it, that's probably easy. I'm not close to it. I look at this as an objective observer, not just of what happened on October 7th, but what has happened all of my life. All of those bloody shootouts in airports around Europe during the 70s, Black September, Baader Meinhof, all of these pro-Palestinian groups that essentially used the Palestinians as a tool for murder and mayhem. They're the same people. They are the same people. And Palestine has been a rallying symbol for the Arab world, the anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish, bigoted Arab world for decades. Well, this is what it looks like. This is what your support actually looks like. So Jonah Goldberg has some serious, agonizing reappraisal to do, but he's not the only one. A founding member of the Democrat Socialists of America, Maurice Eiserman, thundered at the nation that he quit to protest the DSA leadership's politically and morally bankrupt response to the horrific Hamas October 7th attacks and the anti-Jewish pogrom that occurred. The group has been captured by hard-left outsiders aiming to use it for, quote, ends at odds with the spirit and purpose of the original members, unquote. The new leaders have elevated Palestinians and the Palestinian issue as a convenient stick against moderates unwilling to embrace the most extreme positions, such as denying Israel's right to continued existence, let alone the fact that continued existence of Jews. Thus, DSA's National Committee statement on October 7th atrocities made no mention, let alone offered any criticism of Hamas, blaming Israel instead. Local branches joined in, an organization that believes that slaughtered Jewish civilians, including children and infants, are military assets who deserve their fate, has forfeited the right to call itself democratic socialists. I have to point something out here. Socialism starts out not necessarily sounding unreasonable. It becomes unreasonable because socialism is inhuman. It does not service human nature. Therefore, a political, shall we say, movement that is inhuman immediately runs into trouble when human beings are involved. And so what ends up happening is the human beings start making ridiculous and stupid mistakes. They try to blame, say, for example, people who are absolute off-the-hook, crazy, sadistic, genocidal maniacs. They excuse them in favor of the people they're attacking. Why? Because it furthers their political agenda. They stop thinking with their human capability and they start thinking with their politics. That's something we're suffering here in the United States. We need to stop it quickly. There's news on that, by the way. Now, this New York Post article that I'm quoting from continues. The support for Israel is bipartisan. Quote, initial polling conducted following the Hamas pogrom reveals the Americans strongly support Israel's right to defend itself and, importantly, believe that protecting Israel is a key interest for the United States of America. That was according to Donald E. Shane at The Hill. While support for Israel has been a more partisan issue in recent years, recent polling shows increased support for the Jewish state on both sides of the aisle. Indeed, 7 in 10 Americans back providing aid to Israel. 80% of Republicans, 72% of Democrats feel protecting Israel is an important aspect of American policy. And then there's this. David Mamet. You have probably heard that name. He is a playwright, and he has also written many screenplays, etc., of films you've seen. Quote, we New York Jews have always voted for Democrats. Even today, Jews are electing Democrat presidents who, quote, give aid to the terrorist state of Iran, which pays for equipment and ordnance now used to eradicate Jews, unquote. Yet there's no more mystery in the anti-Semitism of the Democrat Party, says David Mamet. You know, when you hear about these elite leftist crazy people, David Mamet is in that group. With its link to Democrat socialists, pro-Palestinians who call for the end of Israel, i.e. the death of Jews, Democrats still, quote, refuse to retract the libel that Israel bombed a hospital despite absolute proof to the contrary, called out Hamas atrocities. Many good German Jews in the 30s ignored their brothers and sisters to the east and later died with them. Today, quote, many liberal American Jews seem ready to die as well, unquote. That's what's going on. I'm surprised it took this long. I'm surprised it took this long for people to realize this. We have the Squad bravely standing for the Palestinians' right to be able to go into Israel and behead babies and burn them and kill and maim and torture, kidnap. They think for some reason that Israel deserves it. Really? And what's been done about that? What has been done about that? We have bipartisan support for Israel. How about a bipartisan support for throwing the Squad out of Congress? How about that? Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing something about it. She's introducing a resolution today to censure Representative Rashida Tlaib, the Democrat from Michigan. By the way, I've got to say something here. By the way, it's not Talib or Talib or Talib or whatever the hell you hear of these. It's Tlaib. It's easy to pronounce. I know I lived in Detroit for a long time. You know, I have lots of Palestinian friends. I have lots of Arabian friends. I do. But the thing about it is that they taught me how to say the names properly. Tlaib is the way you pronounce the name. Would you please pass that along to some journalist you see? Tlaib. Jeez. Anyway, that was just a small digression. She's accusing the Progressive Squad member of anti-Semitic activity and sympathizing with terrorist organizations. It's absolutely correct. She's giving aid to the enemy. She's giving aid and support to Hamas. And I have said, with her in mind, that if you stand with Hamas, you are Hamas. Why do we have a Hamas member in the Congress of the United States? And while we're talking about Jews who have supported the Democrat Party forever and ever and ever, how does it feel to get smacked in the face by all the votes that you made for a party that has the likes of Rashida Tlaib amongst them? The woman is a Palestinian terrorist. Ilhan Omar is a Somali terrorist, which is weird because she was raised in the United States, coming here at age 9. She was given everything, and we taught her to hate the United States. Those two need to be gone. The other two are just going along with it because, I don't know, maybe it seems fashionable. The Lynn Redgrave gambit. Good heavens. This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. If you don't know who Lynn Redgrave is, look her up. She's one of those British elite leftist crazy people that supported the Palestinians as they were chopping people in half in European airports in the 70s. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells, thanking you very much for being a part of our broadcast. 817-379-2172. Back in a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real. with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. I'm John David Wells. People beginning to wake up. French Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron, he's actually a president, has called for an international coalition fighting the Islamic State to be expanded to include not just ISIS, but also Hamas. Macron, speaking after talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem, said the countries fighting ISIS should also fight Hamas. Correct. They should also throw Hezbollah into that as well. They're the same people. They're focused on the genocide of Israel and Jews. That's it. Anything they say that has nothing to do with killing Jews is essentially some smokescreen so they can continue killing Jews. This is it. We have the answers now. We can proceed. It is time. It's absolutely time. We have the absolute facts before us. It's time for the civilized world to act. Instead of dithering. He's not the only one. Rishi Sunak. He's the prime minister. He is the prime minister. They don't have a president in Britain. Rishi Sunak is the Prime Minister of British Parliament. He was absolutely incensed at the Scotland Yard response to the handling of pro-Palestinian demonstrations. The leadership of Scotland Yard came back and said, hey, we need more permissions, we need more laws, et cetera, et cetera. And Sunak said, no, you don't. You've got all the law you need. Get to work. Now, I get a little bit queasy when someone says, hey, we have to arrest people for standing in the public square and yelling jihad at the top of their lungs. But then again, in light of what just happened in Israel October 7th, is it time for us to perhaps redraw some of these standards? People who are anti-free speech advocates, and there are many of them, especially on the American political left, say you can't yell fire in a church. Well, if you can't yell fire in a church, how about not yelling holy war in the town square, especially when there are people that will actually engage in it? How about that? Now, clearly, this is a cause for debate. Where is the line? Is jihad the magic word? Well, it has many meanings. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It may have many meanings in various places, like, oh, I don't know, you go to a dictionary and look up the word inconsequential. It has a whole lot of different meanings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, there's only one that people use. Jihad is holy war. You can rationalize it any way you want. But when jihad is mentioned, people die. There you go. So why don't we say that's fire in a church? Now, once again, I'm not advocating for this. I'm advocating for the debate. Where is the line, is my question. By the way, 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Where does protest stop and criminal activity begin? By the way, I appreciate both President Macron of France and Prime Minister Sunak of Great Britain standing up and saying, enough's enough here. I do appreciate that. Although I would make one modification to President Macron's idea of a coalition to fight Hamas. It's not just Hamas. It's Hezbollah. And who nourishes Hamas and Hezbollah? It's Iran. We do have a coalition. We do have targets. Should Iran be at the top of that list? Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Chat room is roaring. Make sure you join us and tell us what you think. I would appreciate that greatly. More of the Tuesday edition of the Wells Report is next.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
This is the Wells Report. We bring you news, analysis, commentary, and debate. There was a beloved community leader and support of Israel living in Detroit. Her name was Samantha Wall. She was stabbed to death in front of her home in the Motor City's upscale Lafayette Park neighborhood. Detroit police responded to a 911 call of an unresponsive person, found the 40-year-old on the ground outside her townhome. She suffered stab wounds. There was a trail of blood on the walkway that led to her home. Regarding the suspect, we certainly know this is a dangerous person. Really? Yeah, that unbelievably obvious quote came from Detroit Chief of Police, not Captain Obvious, but James E. White. Yeah, Chief White said this is clearly a dangerous person. The investigation has revealed that Wall returned home from a wedding at about 12:30 in the morning. Police are focused on her drive home from the wedding. Whether street cameras captured another driver following her, will be tracking her entire route digitally. When she arrived home, police believe she was attacked inside, then stumbled outside and collapsed in the yard. Investigators are working with blood spatter experts to confirm the trajectory. Chief White, whose office is working with the FBI and the Michigan State Police, added investigators had not zeroed in on a single person of interest yet. We have a number of people that give us interest. We are just short of calling one of the people a suspect. However, this is where things get a little bit screwed up. Chief White then said, quote, "We believe there are no other groups or anyone else at risk in regard to this particular incident. We believe this incident was not motivated by anti-Semitism and the suspect acted alone." Really? So they don't have a suspect. They don't have a person of interest. But they're sure that this is not a hate crime. Really? You see, it's stuff like this that makes you wonder just exactly how deep anti-Semitism goes. It's not anti-Semitism. That's way too clean a term. Genocidal, horrifying, rabid, degenerate, anti-Jewish bigotry. You just wonder how far it goes. You wonder how deep it is. Oh, no, this wasn't a hate crime. Well, who's your suspect? Well, we don't know. You don't know. But you know it's not a hate crime. Well, yeah, because there doesn't seem to be any kind of forced entry into the woman's home. Oh. Okay. Anybody on your police force able to get into somebody's house without making it look like they had forced an entry? Well, sure, but okay. Thanks. Thank you very much, Chief. Please, I can hardly wait to see you run the next chapter of Brink's Security. Would you please leave the area where adults have to think? Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm sorry I'm being so nasty. I'm not a cop. I don't know what these guys have to deal with. I don't even know the details of this case. But to say something so ridiculously stupid, especially in light of what happened October 7th in Israel and how all of that went around the world with copycat attacks, et cetera, to say, without a suspect in hand, that it's not a hate crime is absurdly idiotic. Sorry, I simply had to vent. So let's get after this here. 9 Republicans, 1 House Speaker. Yeah, there is 1 House Speaker, and the Republican Party has no idea who that speaker is. They have absolutely no clue. So let's spend a little bit of time chatting about what we do know, courtesy of USA Today. House Republicans will meet privately today to try to nominate a new House Speaker to unite a bitter GOP. That's nice. After House Republicans dropped Jim Jordan as the nominee for House Speaker Friday, 9 candidates threw their hat into the ring for the top spot. Only 2 of those lawmakers voted to certify the 2020 election, raising questions among some Republicans about whether they're going to lend their support in the speaker battle. Yeah. Remember what I've been talking about with these moderate Republicans? I have said for at least a decade and probably longer that the most dangerous political faction in the United States, not the Squad, not leftist crazy Democrats, not Bernie Sanders, the avowed socialist who's never actually lived in a socialist country. No, the most dangerous political faction in the United States are moderate, what are called moderate Republicans. Because you have no idea where they stand. Absolutely no idea where they stand. But we do get clues from time to time like this one. Right? Well, only 2 of these 9 candidates for speaker voted to certify the 2020 election. And instead of looking at that saying, let's see, there are 9, only 2 voted to certify. That means 7 voted not to certify. Maybe there might be something wrong with the frickin' election? Well, you're being an election denier. No. I'm being an investigation supporter. And how come these damn Republicans haven't investigated this? Oh, yeah, we'll investigate the FBI. Sure, we'll do the DOJ. Yeah, we'll investigate Hunter Biden. How about the 2020 election? Oh, no, that's settled. It's settled science. What? And yesterday, I spent an inordinate amount of time on this broadcast explaining how now all these election experts are trying to convince people there's nothing wrong with our election process. Why do they have to do that? Because nobody answered any of their questions about the 2020 election. Did they? Well, we can't investigate this. It's a conspiracy theory. And so are you. You're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm an investigator. I'm asking questions. How about answering them instead of blustering, dissembling, and trying to gaslight the American people? Just doing a damn investigation, for crying out loud. There are 2 ways the investigation could go. Either there's something wrong with the 2020 election, or there's nothing wrong with the 2020 election. Obviously, these people who believe that we can't investigate this at any cost believe there's something wrong with the 2020 election. That's the hypocrisy. It's right there in front of everyone, but nobody sees it or nobody wants to see it. But doggone it, these 7 of these people that are running for speaker didn't vote to certify the 2020 election. So I, as a moderate Republican who actually am a Democrat enabler, I don't know that I can vote for them. And consequently, the Republican Party looks dumber and dumber and dumber. They're so dumb, I even pronounce the B in the word dumba. They've got a perfect candidate. You know who they should elect as Speaker of the House? Byron Donalds of Florida. But it's too smart. It makes too much sense. He's exactly the right guy. Oh, no, we can't put him in there. He's black. Oh, no. Oh, heaven forbid. No. No, if he was Jewish, that would be one thing. But no, that black thing doesn't have anything to do with anything. It has to do with the fact that he's, well, young. He's not one of us. You mean moderate Republicans that do absolutely frickin' nothing? Right. You know, your party is about to implode on itself. There are people like me that are leaving the party in flipping droves. Have you noticed how many independent voters there are now versus the independent voters in the 2020 election? And let's go all the way back to 2016. Let's go all the way back to 2016 when Donald Trump, who literally could not get elected dog catcher in New York City, became the president of the United States. Is it because he was just an amazing populist that said all the right things? Well, that was part of it. No, he got elected because he wasn't you. You got fired because you suck. And unlike most people who say, well, I'm a Republican, I've always been a Republican, I'm a Republican. I said, no, you suck, I'm done. Now I'm a conservative. I advocate for the Conservative Party of the United States, a party that absolutely supports reasonable constitutional execution of this republic, instead of the Republican Party that has no mission whatsoever. They have no idea what they want to do, and they can't even elect a Speaker of the House because, well, 7 of the candidates didn't vote to affirm the 2020 election. I'm sorry. Excuse me, Mr. Namby-Pamby. Or is that Namby-Pamby? I don't know how to exactly pronounce it. But Mr. Namby-Pamby, or Representative Namby-Pamby, I need to ask this question. Weren't you the same people that were crapping on the Gates 8 for not supporting the typical conventional wisdom candidate? Well, yeah. Well, how come you're not supporting one of these other candidates? Well, because they're not the conventional wisdom candidate. Okay. So you criticize people who won't elect the conventional wisdom candidate, but you won't support someone who's not the conventional wisdom candidate. That's right. I'm a Republican. Two things can be true at once. Yeah. There was a conservative party once called the Whigs. They finally did nothing themselves right out of power. They actually elected a bunch of presidents. And they're gone now. The Republican Party is, for all intents and purposes, gone. It has no mission. It has no idea what it wants. It does not know what it wants to be when it grows up. So now, the country is in the clutches of these people. Almost said a different word. They're in the clutches of these people, and they can't make a dang decision. There will be a third secret ballot to be cast today, which will obviously mean nothing because the last secret ballot that nominated Jim Jordan went nowhere. And the clock is ticking. And we have this ridiculous, idiotic, foolish, I'm just going to say it, dumbassery of this debt limit thing coming up again. And the Republican Party. And this is one of the reasons why I fired the Republican Party. This is not the first time this has happened. It's not the first time this has happened. I mean, the Republican Party gets power and then does nothing. They don't do anything with it. And they've done it again. Another reason why we need to get rid of, we just need to allow the Republican Party to just do what they do best, which is frickin' nothing. I mean, there's a certain attraction in that, considering that a federal government of the United States of America that does something universally does it badly or expensively or foolishly. So actually a political party that promises to do nothing would be kind of attractive at some level. But the Republican Party doesn't even have the guts to do that. So if you're a Republican and you disagree, by all means, call me on the telephone. Explain what your party does. God, I'd love to hear the answers to that. What does the Republican Party stand for? Okay, what does it stand for? Why is there a Republican Party? What do they want to accomplish? I have no idea. But people just continue being Republicans because, well, I guess they don't have any idea either. All right. Let me see what these idiots are up to here. This is a different thing. They said there were 9. Oh, okay. Let's see. Let's restack and repack because apparently there are 7 Republicans now. Let's see when this came up. This was yesterday, so there may be 2 others. Anyway, House Republicans dropped Jim Jordan. We knew that. 2 of the lawmakers voted to certify the 2020 election, raising questions among some Republicans whether they'll lend support in the speaker battle. I just don't think I can support somebody that didn't go blindly along with the 2020 election. After former Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ousted earlier, House Republicans refused to coalesce around one candidate. 7 candidates running for Speaker. House Majority Whip Tom Emmer. He's a hockey coach. Representative Kevin Hern. Representative Austin Scott. The guy who should get the job, Representative Byron Donalds. He's the Republican from Florida. Jack Bergman of Michigan. I think he's the Marine Corps colonel. Mike Johnson, who's brilliant. Mike Johnson is, man, he's a fine candidate. Will they elect Mike Johnson? No. Why? Because they're Republicans, that's why. And Representative Pete Sessions. Again, Pete Sessions is a great guy. I like Pete a lot. Pete and I have spent a lot of time talking to each other, on the air and off, and I really like Pete Sessions, but he is a moderate Republican. He is. He is a status quo anti-Republican, and I'm not sure we need one of those guys, even though I really like Pete Sessions. That being said, we have to step aside for just a moment, but we'll come right back to finish the broadcast in a sports vein next.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Garcia starts the third and drives one the other way. Sperry's got another! He does! Adolis Garcia owning October!
And the pitch swung on in a high fly ball into left field. And that ball is history.
He owns Houston.
And the Rangers are an out away from their third American League pennant.
Grounded a second. The Rangers have won the pennant.
What an amazing year this has been.
Yeah, it has been an amazing year, and it has been fantastic and wonderful. And the Rangers win the pennant, the Rangers win the pennant, and the Rangers win the pennant. It's always good. And I really am glad they did. All right? It was good. Let me see if I can give you some information about that as we roll forward here. It wasn't already fair to wonder how long the Houston Astros could sustain as the biggest, baddest team in Texas. It is now. The Astros are at this moment lying in a heap at the feet of the Texas Rangers, figuratively, of course, but the background of this half-conjured image is a scoreboard that tells the literal truth of the tale. Rangers 11, Astros 4. Rangers 11, Astros 4. Unflipping believable. And by the way, we want to thank the Bleacher Report for these articles here. Meanwhile, on the other side of the ledger, we're talking about the National League because we just decided the American League pennant. The National League pennant will go to a 7th game tonight. The Philadelphia Phillies had been unstoppable throughout the 2020 playoffs. I mean, gaudy wins. I mean, ridiculous wins. They've gone 6-0 with an average 6.5 runs per game in the first six postseason contests at Citizens Bank Park. The Phillies never bounced back from an early deficit on the way to a lackluster 5-1 loss to the Arizona Diamondbacks in yesterday's Game 6 of the National League Championship Series. It means Philadelphia will have to win tonight's decisive second game, also at home, if it's going to reach the World Series for a second straight year. The disappointing show from a typically dominant offense with stars like Bruce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, was the biggest storyline from the Phillies' perspective, and the social media had plenty of reaction. This is Philly, okay? Philadelphia, these are rotten people. Okay, they're not rotten people. They're nasty people. Okay, well, they're not nasty, rotten people. They're, the way the Phillies are approaching the plate, they're looking at Game 7. If they lose, this isn't on Nola. This is on the absolute lack of discipline from the offense. The Philadelphia Phillies have been one of the most amazing baseball teams in baseball history for the entire year. But they get to the point where they finally come across a team that can keep up with them, and suddenly the fans go nuts. Yeah, Harrison Moore, this Phillies offense needs to wake up. Jeff Kerr, stating the obvious, the performance is simply not good enough by anyone on the Phillies. 4 and 5 hitters are hindering the offense. Too many runners left on base. Nola doesn't have it. What a disaster of a game for the Phillies offense. The Phillies offense better come up with a better approach tomorrow. Or what? Phillies offense has to wake up, stop swinging at everything. Phillies offense doing their best 2023 Yankees offense tonight. Philadelphia offense tonight in an elimination game at home. I don't care who you got pitching. You can't expect to win scoring just one run. Phillies offense better wake the hell up for Game 7, or else they've blown a fantastic opportunity. The fans have given their all. You know, I've played baseball. I played baseball from the age of 9 until I finally hung up my spikes at age 47. I played baseball. And I never, ever, ever saw fans win or lose a baseball game. Now, I understand. The fans are nice. I've actually played in front of fans. It was fun. Okay? But the people that were actually playing the game, they actually played the game. And yes, all of us wanted to please the fans. It's true. We all wanted to please the fans. But baseball is flipping hard. We saw one of the most amazing baseball teams in the world, the Houston Astros, set aside by the Texas Rangers, another great baseball team, set aside in a 7-game series that ended last night. Since I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and the Rangers are a Dallas-Fort Worth team, I'm very happy. However, baseball is not cut and dried. You don't win baseball games on paper. You win them on the field. The fans have given their all? Okay, thanks. Appreciate the vibe. Appreciate the emotional energy coming out on the field. You can feel it, and it does make a difference. But you got to remember what's what here. These are the best baseball players in the world by a long shot. Unless you've actually experienced. I mean, I tried to hit a baseball off of Roger Clemens. It's not possible. And the people that actually can do it are amazing. And so the simple case of the matter is, Philly's doing just fine. They will either win this game tonight or they will not. But if they win the game, they'll go on to the World Series and have a really hard time with the Rangers. And if indeed they lose this series tonight, they're still one of the greatest baseball teams in history. But then again, Philly fans, they're Philly fans. They booed Santa Claus at an NFL game. I mean, so enjoy your anger and nuttiness. But meanwhile, you know, the positive vibes coming out on the field really help. Negative vibes coming out in social media don't help. The executive producer of the Wells Report is Dirk Steele. The associate producer and publicist is Jube Dankworth of NetMediaConsultants.com. I'm John David Wells. Have a great Tuesday. See you tomorrow. And just like that, the end of the old broadcast. Let's see what I got here. Anhoy Guzman, a horse hockey moment. And we could have been debating and resolving this debt limit budget. Instead, we're wasting time fooling with egos. Yes, we are. Yeah, I agree. Let's see what else. Great show, JD. I've been on a kind of a roll. I don't know exactly why. Maybe it's because I got some sleep over the weekend. That could be it. Let's see. We need to stand up, but we can't. They just don't care. Darn, they must have gotten into the Kool-Aid again, says Ginny. They know. They keep their mouth shut. It's for the money. I don't know what they're doing. I don't have any idea. I don't have any idea. All right. That's all I got. God bless all y'all. I'm going to head off down the Lonesome Highway and see what happens today, and I'll let you know tomorrow.